Afternoon.
Latest on Mike Evans.
Again, it's a hamstring. He'll be out this week, then we'll see how fast he gets better. Hopefully by the bye week we'll have him back.
He's undergoing an MRI for today.
Yes.
Is there any reason to think that if there's any additional, like, could there possibly be
I
any
have no
additional
idea.
findings on
Jen, I
there?
have no idea.
Sorry, Dr. Holtz.
That's what you're making me.
I'm sorry, I gotta ask somebody.
I'm okay. I'm good with it. I'm okay.
On some of the other injuries.
Players. You had mentioned that Dennis was kind of a chronic thing that had bothered him in summer. Do you have a sense for whether he's in play to come back when he can come off IR, or if it's a long-term thing?
That's longer term than that. Probably go deep into the playoffs, if not longer.
Is he going to have to
Have surgery, or?
Yeah, he's got surgery.
He's had surgery.
Yes.
What did he have that he was dealing with in his shoulder?
I know it was a shoulder. He had it since college, and it was something he was playing with. And when it got too bad, and he kept hurting it every little bit, and then it got bad enough, we had to get surgery done. He would have had to get it fixed after the season, whether he played or not.
Was it a stability issue, do you know?
I don't know, Jenna. Honestly, I don't know.
Todd, you take a lot of pride in how this defense performs week in and week out. They're struggling. One team's giving up more yards, 4 teams giving up more points. You talk about communication. What's the key to fixing that?
Just practice, going over things that they can do, just making sure they're on point when you're out there. It's our job to get them out there and get the plays where they can have them. It's their job to carry it out and execute. It's a team thing. It's a coach and a player thing. It's not just a player thing. It's not just a coach thing. We understand where we are. We've been shuffling some people in and out. Hopefully we'll have some stability. And they know they have to get better, and we know as coaches we got to be better.
How frustrating has it been, 2 out of the last 3 weeks giving up those kind of yards?
It's frustrating from certain situations. You can play good in spurts, and then certain situations, when we're playing situational football, we let up a play that you go over, and that can't happen. So we got to keep harping on that.
Is it easier or harder to play a team so quickly after you played it the first time? And what did you learn from that first matchup with the Falcons?
Situational football for us, and when you have a division game, no matter whether you play them close or whether you play them far apart, it's going to be a tough game. This one happens to be with a lot at stake on the line this early in the season for first place. They beat us at the end the last time. We made some mistakes at the end. They made more plays, and we got to make the plays at the end this time.
Given the loss on offensive production you have with Mike and Chris, not being on the play now, are you going to need more out of the defense to maybe shoulder the load to carry this team?
Definitely, it's a team game anyway. We need more in the defense week in and week out, regardless of who's playing on offense. But with Mike and Chris out, having the offensive production that they've had out of their ball game, and not just relying on those two guys, the defense has to step up and play.
To remain a playoff contender, you have to go out and get a big name receiver who's been very productive as a season guy.
Not really. I mean, if there's something out there that fits us, we'll look at it. If not, we're comfortable with what we have.
Tell me what you think you win with these guys that you have them.
Yes.
Good. Tell me what you think you'll get from Palmer and from McMillan with increased reps for each guy. They're bringing something different, right?
They bring something different. It'll be great because we have to tweak our offense now to what they bring to the table as opposed to what Mike and Chris brings to the table. So it'll be a challenge for the coaches as well as the players. But I'm excited to see them play. I think they have more that meets the eye that we haven't seen yet. So I'm excited to see them.
What about Sterling Shepard? I mean, for his track record, he does have that relationship previously with Baker, and it was a long time ago, but there is some palpable chemistry that's out there, and it has resulted in, already a touchdown this season. Just how could you lean on that and his experience going forward?
Well, he's been a heck of a receiver in this league. When healthy, he can make plays all over the field. So we've seen that briefly the last couple of weeks. He'll be counted on more to do that, counted on more to help the young guys come along, and we expect him to play well.
And speaking to health, do you have to monitor that or watch that at all with him when he's out there, because he does have a little bit of a history there and he's a little bit older?
No, we haven't had to monitor it.
I know you and Jason talk about everything, right? Who's available and that
Right.
sort of thing. There are some available, or at least reportedly available receivers out there. But for where your team is at right now, is it more about, one, Mike's coming back, right? He's not out for the season, and two, you like your young guys. You want these guys to play. You drafted them for a reason, and you think they can do what you need them to do?
I mean, we really like our young guys right now. We think Mike's coming back. We really like our young guys. There are guys out there, but for what we would have to give up to get them in the long run, it's probably not worth it. So for us right now, we're excited to see our young guys play. We had to play without some defensive guys this year. Now we have to play without some offensive guys. We fared pretty well. We think we're fared pretty well with these guys.
You guys have made the change in punter, but your kick coverage in general, just want to ask you how you think that's been in terms of limiting your opponent's returns on kickoffs and punts.
Definitely wasn't good last weekend. I think they got over 30 and 40 quite a few times. Obviously, the wind held the ball up. We need to kick it in the end zone. If not, we need to cover a lot better than that.
Todd, I know that Tyke was on the sidelines there for walkthrough. Is it still the same as far as him trying to clear concussion protocol? Is there any optimism that maybe he could get out before Sunday's game?
Just happy to see him on the sideline. If we were to practice today, he wouldn't have practiced, so we'll see how the week goes for him.
And then also, just what kind of nostalgia does the Creamsicle uniforms bring back for you, and what's it like to see the team wearing those this week?
For me, it's Richard Woods. You know, same hometown. He grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and he went to the same high school and everything else, so it was always great to see him. Doug Williams, Jimmy Giles, Kevin House, you name it. They got a ton of players back then. It was one of the greatest uniforms back then, so it looks good to see.
You were a big Batman Wood fan?
Same hometown. He was one of my idols.
Todd, when you watch the film, there were several times where it seems like the Ravens were in, 2nd and 18, and once was a 3rd and 35 or something, and on the 2nd and 18, Todd, they flipped the ball to the running back, and he scored the touchdown, and it was 2nd and goal from the 18. What'd you see? And there was another play on the 3rd and 30 where they got enough yards to kick a field goal. That's got to drive you absolutely nuts.
Attention to detail. We've got to have a lot better attention to detail, and we missed a few tackles along the way as well.
How much, though, of what you saw, because there's a certain component of this game that isn't really measured by stats, but, it certainly is palpable when you watch it out there. Mike Evans goes down. Baker said it took the wind out of their sails. How much of some of those mistakes that you saw from the team as a whole could possibly be attributed to that and the fact that, guys were kind of struggling after that mentally?
None on defense. Absolutely none on defense. And Mike doesn't play defense, so we got to play better on that side of the ball. Offensively, maybe a little bit, but you still got to play the game. We had our chances to make some plays. We didn't make them. We're not an excuse team.
Sorry to interrupt. Liam Cohen's been a hot offensive coordinator as far as scoring points. You guys have scored a lot of points this year. Is this the chance for you to show as coaches just how creative you can be, right? These are your guys, and you just have to find a way, whether it's 3 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, that's...
Got to find a way to win. I mean, that's part of it. You never know what you can do until you find out what you don't have. Coach Parcells always said that, and coaches have to do more, and players have to do more, and you got to be more creative. So we're putting our heads down to work, and we'll get it done.
What did K-Dot show you last week that you hadn't seen? I mean, he took some big hits and didn't seem to faze him.
I think he made some tougher catches and taking those hits than I've seen it before. He always made the tough catch before with guys hanging on him, but they were really taking some shots there, and he had to get his hands up over his head and make some plays, and he kept his balance and stayed up afterwards, so that was big for us.
When Chris went down, you see emotionally how it affected, the coaching staff, obviously the players that were out there. Are you worried about the emotion this team still has, losing 2 key players like that, and trying to keep these guys up and believe they can win?
I mean, just looking at it, it was horrible to see because you could see what happened. It wasn't like they had to tell us, his leg was messed up from the start, so that was bad to see in the beginning. So we know we have to play for him, we have to play for Mike, and that'll lift us up, and we know we got to play regardless.
Todd, you guys had a moment in the comeback there Monday night. The when to go for 2, when not to go for 2 thing is always confusing for some fans. And when you score to go down 9, I think that the rationale is you go for 2 early, so you know what you need later in the game. Is that what the thinking was?
Yeah, it definitely was the thinking.
What's been your message for Jalen McMillan going forward, Todd, and what part of his game does he need to work on right now?
Just getting on the same page and getting the routes down and understanding coverages a little better. My message was play like he did in college. Play just like he did in college. He was a great player in college, and we think he's a great player now. He just hasn't had the experience yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.